Much love, live news. Alright, let's get started. Hi guys, hello, MicheleMarieDalene. I have a guest here today. But before we talk about my guest, we want to talk about some very important things. Confirmed information is that number one, that Donald Trump is currently in Texas right now, touring the situation with the flood damaged areas of Corpus Christi, Rockport, and of course Houston. And but now we got some more bad news. Here's the bad news. As I mentioned in another video, which only had a few viewers on it, Harvey is reforming with more energy, recharging its batteries, and to create a tropical storm here in the area of the Gulf Coast. So, unfortunately for us, that means that more rain is going towards Louisiana and Baton Rouge and New Orleans. In addition to the fact is that we also have another system coming from West Africa coming into the United States. A slow little system. I believe it's called Invest 10. Invest 10 is likely to be coming up the East Coast. In other words, we could potentially have an East Coast soaker as well, and they won't know until about 5 or 6 days from now just exactly how bad it could get. So I just thought I would let you know that it's not going to be a nice day. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of very there's been a lot of damage in the Texas area, and it's going to be coming into Louisiana, as I said, Baton Rouge, Lake Charles area, and of course in Point Charles, Lake Charles, and of course in New Orleans. New Orleans, as we already know, is below sea level, so this is not good at all. And the thing is, that means that you guys be smart to be prepared. The act of the Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner has also potentially could result in a death toll for Houston being in the hundreds of people because of his lack of leadership. Please contact the Houston City Hall and tell him you want him to step down. This guy is a danger to his community and is not serving the community properly. And that's a serious issue. Now, as I said, if Invest 10 goes into a tropical storm, several tracks shows it coming up the East Coast. At this point, it's really early to say. If it does come into the East Coast, it will basically possibly decimate, of course, North, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. And this is definitely a lot bigger than Katrina and Andrew combined. You got all these different systems coming in and soaking and blowing wind around. If this thing, Invest 10, develops into a even a category 1 and 2, even if it does manage to come into the Connecticut area, it's going to be a lot of damage as well. So that's serious things to be aware of. I will let you know. I have access to KXAN TV in San Antonio, so I do happen to have access direct feed to the Texas area, so I didn't know exactly what's going on. I'm getting the local news feeds, plus of course Infowars.com, and several others, including BP Earthwatch. Now, for something a little bit lighter, I have a friend here with me, but he's kind of behind me. I don't know if he can really see me too well. I'm going to roll this chair back a bit so you can see him and see me, and hopefully we can get this conversation together. This is Mike Vitale. He has been on my channel before, and so let me just turn this microphone down here. My headphones on. So let me just go back to Mike can join us. Whoops. And how you doing, Mike?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing right. I'm just trying to hear sound here. Okay. Okay. See, it's kind of speak some more.
How you doing, sir?
Okay. Anyway, so Mike, of course, is a friend of mine. He's kind of in between housing right now, and he's been watching these situations going on with the weather just as much as everyone else. Being he is between housing, he has personal experience of being out in the elements. And most people who have apartments and houses probably have no real experience with. And I wanted to ask you, given what you know about Hurricane Harvey, from what you've heard, how do you think the homeless out there in Houston, including the newly homeless, are going to be able to cope?
I think it's going to be even harder for them than the people in Katrina, because I'm sure they weren't expecting that to just happen like that.
So you think it was just...
It could be a little easier, though, because Texas has a lot more resources and a lot more people out there who are willing to help.
But I think also it's also important to remember is that Donald Trump, unlike President George W. Bush, is actually encouraging the local, state, and federal police to work with the federal government, FEMA, to get the resources out to the people. For those who do not know about what happened with Katrina, FEMA tried to take over everything and actually discouraged the use of volunteers, discouraged the use of local police officials, and it was just a colossal mess. It really was. This time, of course, now Donald Trump realized, he says, these people know where the resources are. We're talking about the locals, state, and federal, and county officials. So it was easier to work with them and FEMA help coordinate, but not necessarily saying we're taking over the whole thing. Now, I remember we had I was around here in Irene. I was around here in Hurricane Sandy. Now, in Hurricane Sandy's case, we got the winds and we got the rain, and we had a small gasoline generator which was barely running the lights because the wind was blowing so hard it kept choking out the carburetor. But still, it was really impressive, incredibly windy. Even when it came up to Winston, it was a tropical storm. The winds were intense, and my ceiling didn't leak too bad that day. But during Irene, my ceiling in my bedroom came down. All the plastic came down and basically flooded the whole apartment. It was a mess, having all that water. I was lucky that my equipment, my computers, my personal possessions were not significantly damaged by that water. Obviously, for all those people in Rockport, Corpus Christi, and Houston, this is really unbelievable. What do you do when so many precious possessions have pretty much been waterlogged?
I have no idea. I've never had an experience like that. I've never had my own home.
Like, you have experience when people have stolen your campsite stuff.
Yeah.
So imagine if this thief in this case left a very psychic calling card. I mean, the amount of damage that was done to people's homes, people's possessions. Even if you physically still had your stuff, especially if it's something like a cell phone or a TV or radio, and have it ruined by the water, getting into it, that's pretty extreme. I mean, it's hard to imagine for people just how much damage that's going to do to, your psyche, to see all your stuff is pretty much gone by water and rainwater coming into it. The microphone lousy on this kind of a top. I don't. Okay, so now obviously we have another system that's called right now. It's called Invest N. Invest 10 is coming from West Africa. It's coming up the Atlantic. Several storm tracks show it's going to come up the East Coast. And right now, the water in the tropical areas is very warm, very tepid, and so obviously it's going to gain strength. Right? If it comes all the way up to Connecticut, like Sandy did, the event will be comes into the North Atlantic, water will probably slow it down, because a hurricane is a heat engine. That's what it depends on. It depends on heat to work. Warm water is essential key to a hurricane. If you don't have that warm energy, evaporation, it's gonna pretty much stall out and die. But one of the things that people don't realize what happened with this Hurricane Harvey is was going so slow that it didn't take long for the winds to stay in. They were seeing speeds as slow as 10 miles per hour and going eastward. So which means you saw this energy, and it's just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning like this. So then, of course, now, so that means that your structures are getting soaked. You're probably being stressed by the winds. When it came into Rockport, it was a Category 4. So that's just an enormous amount of energy, and it's just frightening. I should actually put Mike's microphone closer to him. Unfortunately, I don't have the longer cord. I do have a longer cord in the green bag behind me, so let me do this, Mike. Let me switch your microphone over to this cord here so that you can hold the microphone, because this way you can hold it close to your mouth and they'll be able to hear you. Okay, so that way, this is one of those spur-of-the-moment live streams. Nobody expected to have a live stream today, but yep, we do. So here we have his cord. Let's see. Welcome to live TV, people. Okay, so let me switch this over here. And now you're on my microphone with me, and I'm going to plug him into this one, and this way he can hold the microphone with his hand. And turn this up here a bit. Okay, you can hold the microphone.
Hello?
Okay, now not so much. Let's turn it down a little bit here. Speak to me.
Hi, Michele.
Okay, speak a little. Okay, so I'm just trying to adjust my volume. Just say 1, 2, 3 slowly.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Because I was trying to get rid of some of the excessive noise. We had a lot of background noise from the fans and ventilation. All right, so now, looking at the circumstances around you, what do you think the people in these stricken areas should do? What do you think from what you know?
I don't know, get to high ground.
Obviously, pray a lot.
Yeah.
Pray unceasingly. That's, I'm not trying to be funny when I say that, guys. I'm just trying to be serious. Pray unceasingly. And, and of course, to keep in contact with your state, local, and federal officials. And if they say to evacuate for your life and your protection, you should do so. I understand that sometimes people can't because they have no transportation. Not a problem, okay? Hold the microphone like this, Mike. Okay. Point here. Not too close.
Like this is good?
That's good. That's perfect. Okay. Anyway, so we have, by the way, this is the new mixer that was we're using right now, that was sent to us by one of our channel patrons, and we've been using it now for the last few days. This microphone was purchased with the $100 that was donated by another channel patron that made it possible for us to have a microphone like this for us. Unfortunately, the problem is it's designed for suits and ties, not necessarily for t-shirts. So it's sometimes it's hard to get it just right. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so here's the main thing, folks. We wish you both the best of luck and safety. Please do keep in mind that Mother God loves you, Father God loves you, and they really do not want to see you suffer, but they always would love to hear from you. If you could take a few moments out of your
Bless you.
If you could take a few moments out of your life and time.
Thank you. Word.
A little too close to me.
Sorry.
I know. Everybody gets carried away with the microphone, but please don't, because it blows my ears in. Anyway, I was going to say I'm going to thank you all for keeping in mind that the Father and Mother God love you. And that if you ask them for your help, ask them for their guidance, ask them for their support, they will be there for you at all times. And the most important thing is after all, hellos are goodbyes, according to SNET, which is our phone company commercial. In other words, look, pick up the red phone, call prayer, talk to Father and Mother God, tell them your concerns, they'll listen, and they will help you out as best you can. The guardian angel will always be there for you. It's not hard to do. You don't even have to have a formal prayer. Really. You don't.
No, you just talk to them pretty much.
Just talk to them like we're talking right now.
Word.
And, like I said, if you want to leave a comment... Oh, yes, before I forget. You see the little blue... You and I can't, but they can. You see the little blue square next to... in the lower right-hand corner of your screen? Well, click on that. It says subscribe NESQ. Click the subscribe and click on the bell icon to actually get notifications when we have our next live streams. During these events, during these strange weather events, we're going to try to cover them as best we can in real time. And it's going to be a challenge for me to do that, but I will do it. And also, we will be having a live stream on September 3rd at 6 p.m. That's a Sunday. September 3rd at 6 p.m. So you will be able to ask me questions, but you have to be registered as a user on YouTube to send us comments. Now, I know some of you are probably saying why don't you use Restream? Set up a custom RTMP using Facebook so that the Facebookers can send you comments. Yeah, but then there's a problem. The Facebookers can't interact necessarily with the YouTubers because they're completely different. I'll get your comments, but they wouldn't be able to interact with each other. So, that would kind of suck. So, and basically, instead of going through having to try to put together this Ruby Goldberg contraption of strange live streams, I'm going to make it consistent. Use one feed and one source instead of multiple feeds and multiple sources. Just sign up for YouTube. It's free, okay? And once you sign up, click on, when you do click on the bell, if you're not a subscriber already to YouTube, it'll actually ask you to register for YouTube when you click on the subscribe and then ask you. When you do that, so register with a new username and password, then click subscribe and click on the little bell to receive notifications, and then you'll always be kept abreast of when something new comes up. As far as all the so-called negative people who have issues with their live streams, so-called trolls or haters, actually they're doing me a favor, even though they may not realize it. You're actually putting my video higher up on the video playlist so people can see it. So I didn't realize that, but I really still would like to have some likes too. And please do share these videos with your friends and families. I know my channel's small, but we're going to try to make it bigger and better. And right now, this is a single person operation. Would you like to say anything before we wrap it up?
Thank you very much, Michele. You've always been very kind.
Okay, guys. So we'll
bless you and bless your work, man.
Yep. So stay safe, stay dry, stay out of trouble. Okay?